Welcome to No Paint No Gains, I'm Ray, and in this episode, I'll be painting this beholder in an icy white color scheme. Before I go over how I painted this model, I want to take a minute and give credit to Steven Smith over at SLSMITHMINIPAINTING. Steven is an incredible miniature painter from Ann Arbor and the artist who originally painted a beholder in this color scheme. I've been a fan of Steven's work for quite a while. And from the moment I saw this beholder, I knew that someday I wanted to try and recreate it. Luckily, Steven was kind enough to provide an instructional post on Instagram where he goes over how he painted his beholder. If you like what you see, please make sure you check out Steven's Instagram page where he showcases all of his amazing work. He also has a Patreon campaign where he offers one-on-one coaching and insight into his personal painting philosophy. Alright, enough fanboying, let's get to painting. I started by priming the whole miniature in white. From here, I broke down this paint job into 4 sections: the skin, gums, teeth, and eyes. I'll be going over how I painted each section in that particular order. For the base coat of the skin, I mixed white and Celestra gray in a 2:1 ratio to produce a very light gray color. I then proceeded to apply this to the entire body and eye stalks. I recommend using a large brush for this as there's a lot of area to cover. It also helps not to be too concerned about spilling over into other areas, as they'll be painted over in later steps. For the spikes protruding from the body, I used Uniform Gray from Army Painter. With the base coat dry, I proceeded to wash over all the painted areas with a generous coat of Army Painter's Strong Tone. If you have non-oil, you can use that instead, or any similar dark wash would probably work just as fine. Now comes the fun part. I mixed white and Celestra Gray in a 3:1 ratio and began to pick out each individual scale on the body, making sure to leave the wash in all the recesses between the scales. This is definitely the most time-consuming and mind-numbing portion of the whole process, but a good podcast and a nice cup of tea definitely lessens the pain. Once I finished all the scales, I went and highlighted all the spikes with a light gray color. To base coat the mouth, I mixed Dragon Red and Emperor's Children in a 1:1 ratio. I made sure to apply this all over the inside of the mouth and the gums, being careful to avoid any overspill on the painted skin. I then washed over the entire mouth with Druki Violet, which darkened the colors even more and added a nice purple tint to it. Next, I mixed some white into my original base mix and began to highlight the gums. I added more and more white with each progressive highlight, every time covering a smaller surface area and working my way towards the center of the gum. Lastly, I applied some Caribou Crimson to the recesses between the gums to darken them and further enhance the contrast. For the teeth, I started with a base coat of Flayed One Flesh and then layered on some Desert Yellow. From here, I started to apply highlights using Dirty Bone. I started from the top of each tooth and worked downward towards the tip. I added a few highlights like this, each time mixing a little bit of white to the paint and working in a smaller surface area. The eye is the centerpiece of the model and the thing that really makes it stand out. I spent almost as much time on the eye as I did painting all the scales. I started from a base coat of very dark navy blue. I mixed deep blue and black in a 3:1 ratio and applied this to the main eye and the eye stalks. Next, using a slightly lighter blue, I sketched out the general shape of the eye. I then began to add highlights using short brush strokes working in a radial pattern towards the center of the eye. I used a lighter color blue with each new highlight, ending with white. Afterwards, I added in an outer iris ring to the eye. This is a small detail that really completed the eye. I worked in short brushstrokes to complete this and made sure not to add too bright of a highlight that it would compete with the main iris portion. Using black, I added the pupil in the center of the eye and continued to mess around with the colors until I had something I was happy with. Finally, I watered down some black and glazed it to the edges of the eye to darken the sclera a bit. For the smaller eyes, I made a simple radial pattern using a dark blue and a light blue and added the pupils. These eyes are so small that not much work is needed to make them stand out. The final step was to coat the mouth and all the eyes with a gloss varnish. I used Vallejo gloss varnish for this. In my opinion, the step is crucial if you want to achieve that wet, slick look on the gums and the shiny reflectiveness on the eyes. And with all that, the model was complete. I had a really good time painting this model, and I'm genuinely surprised by how it turned out. I was certain I would mess it up somewhere along the way. Once again, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to SL Smith Painting for the tutorial post on Instagram. Make sure to check out Steven's work. I'll have links for everything in the description below. Guys, thank you again for sticking around. Let me know what you thought of the video and the paint job in the comments section. If you liked the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, consider subscribing. Look at all the great content you are missing out on. Paw. One more time. Paw. Good baby.